I now recognize newest member of our committee as well on the Republican side, gentleman from California, Mr. Fong, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to the witnesses for your testimony and your service. It's sad and tragic that we have to have a hearing where we have to focus on the data that clearly shows that anti-law enforcement rhetoric right now is fueling violence against our officers. And then, of course, the horrific tragedy of the shooting of the National Guard's men, Sarah Beckstrom and Andrew Wolf, clearly has intensified, and rightfully so, put a needed focus on this. If I can ask Mr. Hughes, California Governor Gavin Newsom erroneously has attempted to overstep his jurisdiction by signing a bill into law that would ban state and federal law enforcement officers from wearing face coverings to protect their identities. Unfortunately, as well, and I was in the state legislature when this passed, and I opposed it, but California law prohibits delegation of immigration authority under Section 287G of the Immigration and Nationality Act. And now other states, New York, Pennsylvania, Michigan, have introduced similar legislation in their state legislatures. What risk do these restrictions pose for federal, state, and local task force personnel in doing operations?
Thank you, Congressman. And again, I can't speak to the state and local law, but what I could speak is to the issue of the face coverings and what we have found given the current conditions. And that's with the advent of artificial intelligence and social media, we have found that officers are being identified, personal information is being identified, and them and their families are being threatened. And so that until such time that we could get that under control, I think we're in a particular position that this seems to be the way to go until we could change the laws and get some sort of normalcy where we could get that under control.
If I can ask Mr. Thompson or Mr. Yos, both can speak to this. I've talked to my local law enforcement agencies. Recruitment, you mentioned this, recruitment and retention are real challenges. With these actions by Gavin Newsom, the actions of other states, and the rhetoric now that we see, how has that affected the morale of law enforcement and the ability to attract the best and brightest to join the ranks of law enforcement?
So I'll go first. I'll go back to what I mentioned before. We don't have a recruiting retention problem. We have a retention and recruiting problem. If we fix the retention problem, we'll fix the recruiting problem. Unfortunately, law enforcement officers, for the most part now, we've gone through so much turmoil that they're with a good conscience of not asking people to come into this profession. So when we see actions like, look, the most efficient way and most effective, and I would argue the most safest way in order to be able to enforce laws is to work collectively to be able to do it. When we put up rhetoric and we put these barriers up, what we're doing is we're saying that we don't have a respect for the laws that were created, and the people who have to enforce them are the ones that are caught in the middle of this political thing. This is not beneficial to anyone. So that's what's hurting our profession. That's why we can't pull people in.
You want to jump in, Mr. Thompson?
Hey, I would echo every word Mr. Yos just said, and I would go one step further, is that it is important for all of us to recognize that we up here, we do speak truth to power every day, every single day. I've never been called bashful in my life, and I've never stood down from saying what I believe. California and other states that are passing these laws, they're doing it at the risk of the public safety of their communities. And the numbers of aggravated assaults are still sky high. They are still climbing. Murders are coming down, but ag assaults are the leading indicator of future criminal behavior. Change those laws, come back to reality, recognize law enforcement's not your enemy. It is not. They save the lives every single day at the local level.
Well, I couldn't agree more. We need to heed that sobering warning that you're providing. But with the time I have remaining, if I can ask you, Mr. Hughes, What are the challenges that you face on holding non-governmental organizations accountable when they actively distribute protective gear such as face shields and goggles before large anti-law enforcement protests? What challenges do you face with that?
Yeah, look, I'm not active in law enforcement anymore, but there certainly are challenges on all sides here, and making sure that we're holding people accountable. We have the intel that we're working with our state, local, federal partners, and making sure we're coordinating information and finding out what's going on and holding people accountable for their actions.
Well, I appreciate the work that your members do, especially to protect my community and communities across the country, and with that, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back.